Recently in the comments, someone asked me about crashing. Like, how do you crash? How do you not get hurt? What can you do to protect yourself? Apparently they've never crashed, and I've crashed a lot. So it gives me an idea, maybe I should make a series called Crash Course. And this will be episode 1, perhaps the most important lesson of all. How do you not kill someone else? I'm Gogo for SuperDuke.com, and it's time to share the worst experience of my racing life. It's 2010 or 11. I'm at Sears Point riding a 990 Super Duke, underpowered, in the Formula One class against 600s and 750s that have 125, 135 horsepower, and I have 100 and nothing. So I'm struggling to stay with a group through super fast sections, but I can make passes and tight stuff, right? Sears Point, I think it's like 8, 9, 7, 8, 9, something like that. This series of S turns. You start sweeping right, then you sweep left, then you sweep right. You crest the hill, go downhill, and then there's a serious braking zone. So that braking zone, my plan is to outbrake the guys in front of me, right? There's a leader, a little bit of a gap, and then second, third, and fourth, and fifth. That second pack is what I'm in. I'm like third in that pack, so I have 2 riders in front of me. Now, in order to make this pass in turn 9, as you know from racing, or maybe you don't know yet, a pass that you do in turn 9, you start setting up in turn 6. It's just the way it goes. You got to be strategic about where you put the bike and how you put the bike. So my plan is to go through these S turns very close to the rider in front of me, right? So we're going to sweep right, we're going to sweep left, and when we go into the last sweeping right, I'm going to cut underneath this guy's back tire. It's Greg McCullough on a 600. I think it was a Honda. I'm going to go underneath his back tire, right, and accelerate early. So as we crest this hill, I'm going to be next to his bike. Then we'll go down this hill, and I'm going to brake after he brakes. I'm not touching my lever until he gets into the brakes. This way, I can get to his inside. Boom, boom. We'll do downshifts, and then we're into this right. So it's called a block pass. I'm not giving him a chance. There's no way he can turn with me in the way. I don't care. Even if I miss the apex, he still can't turn until I do. So block pass, that's the plan. Remember, I'm underpowered. So we go through these sweeping turns and everything's going to plan. We sweep right, we sweep left. We start to sweep right just before this crest of a hill. And finally, I'm going to tell you right now, I have 2 main fears in my life. 1 is being attacked by a shark, and 2 is driving my motorhome, a car, a motorcycle off a cliff. I wake up from dreams like deathly afraid of sharks coming at me from any angle or falling off a cliff, right? So we sweep right, we sweep left, we sweep right, and I'm tucking, and it's working perfectly. I'm tucking underneath Greg McCullough's back tire, and I'm starting to throttle up, and here it comes, and as the plan is going perfectly, we're gonna power over that hill, down, and here we go. Instead, just as I'm inside his back tire, Greg McCullough changes his tact, changes his line. Everything changes instantly. His shoulders pick up, and he comes this way, and I don't know what's going on. All I see is rear tires. I'm in a tuck. Rear tire, his back, his helmet, a little bit of his inside of his elbow, and the alligator teeth on the inside of the track. That's all I see. My peripheral vision, I got nothing. That's my focus. So all of a sudden, he turns this way. The track is sweeping, and he's going to take my front wheel out. And I'm going to go right over the handlebars at ungodly speed, right? We're flying. So I crack off the throttle, I drag the brake a little bit, and I just get clear of his rear tire. He just gets in front of me, and now I'm clear of him, right? Now I'll go a little wide. That's not the line I wanted to be on, but I probably will still be able to get back on line so I don't go off the track, and now I'm going to be to his outside as we go down the hill. Fine, that's the plan now. The new plan is, I'm going to save myself from this. Well, the instant that I cleared his back tire, there's a body in front of me on the track, Jamie Keating. I couldn't see any of this, but as we swept right, Jamie, who was leading this pack, got into the gas super hard. I think he was on a 750 and low-sided and crashed. And he's lying like this on the pavement, sliding sideways. I clear Greg McCulloch, and here's Jamie Keating. And not just Jamie Keating, but Jamie's neck and his head. And now, remember, my energy is going this way. He is going this way because he crashed, right? Centrifugal force is pushing him out. I had to avoid McCulloch. It's pushing me out. We're both on the same tack, and I'm going for his neck. And there's no way in the short amount of time there is between where I'm at and him, he's slowing down really rapidly. I'm going to hit him. I'm going to kill him. I'm going to run over his head. I can't turn more right because all my energy is going this way. So I can't avoid his head. I'm going to hit him somewhere. I'm probably going to kill him. So I learned this lesson a long time from Jerry Wood, Penguin Racing, way back in the 80s. Jerry said, and I still keep it with me to today, when things go sideways, don't look where you're afraid of going. If someone's falling in front of you, don't look at them because you'll hit them. Don't look at the wall that you're afraid of hitting because you'll hit the wall. Look where you want to go. It's the same rule as getting through a turn and looking for the apex, but it's really important when shit goes sideways, and shit was sideways. So I knew I couldn't avoid his head to the right, but I could avoid his head to the left, right? Already the momentum is going this way, so let me let it go. But I can't avoid so much that I'm not going to hit him at all, right? I'm going to hit him somewhere here. My target was very small. So I aimed for his hips. I don't know why, I'm not a doctor. I just figured that was the least life-threatening place to hit him. Definitely better than his head and his neck and his heart. So all this energy is going on and I'm just focused on his hips and I'm braking and impact is imminent. This is like in an instant of time, this is all happening. And it's pretty remarkable how your mind works. So it's pretty remarkable how fast, how instantly fast you process things in your mind. You feel things, and this is what I processed and this is what I felt. If I hit him in the hips with my brakes on, I'm going to lose the front and my bike's going to fall and probably my bar is going to stab him right in the neck. And now I'm going to kill him if I hit him. Now I'm going to kill him if I crash on him. What do I do now? So I decided in this much time, brake as hard as I can before impact. And as soon as I'm about to hit him, let go of the brake. So now, possibly instead of hitting him and plowing and crashing, I can maybe go over him. Maybe I can jump him, right? So brake, 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 and then roll into the throttle and jump his body, right? So maybe I can take less of the energy, right? So you could judge whether I made the right decision or the wrong decision, but this is what I decided. So my front wheel goes over him, and instantly, the next thought is, if I go over him like you would a log, when you're riding a dirt bike and you just power, and you're spinning the rear tire and you just jump right over the log, and the log spins out under your tire and maybe it gets torn up. Well, I don't want to tear up Jamie Keating. So I get the front tire over him and immediately roll off the throttle. And there's a reason I told you my two fears in life are being attacked by a great white shark and falling off a cliff. Because remember, this sweeping right-hand turn, we go through this right, and it all of a sudden goes down this hill. It's like you crest down this hill. It's pretty exciting part of the track, actually, because the front wheel will become light. You wheelie over this hill. It's like a ledge you fall off of at that speed. So I hit Jamie and I roll off the throttle so my rear tire and chain doesn't just tear him up. And now I'm cresting this hill. I'm at the top of this hill and my bike is now going to endo in the air, and I'm flipping through the air, falling off a cliff. My biggest fear. But you make a decision. It just comes. You don't think about it. It just comes. When someone's life is in your hands, it doesn't matter. You face your biggest fears. It's a sacrifice, but it's a small sacrifice. So I don't know how high I was in the air, but there's people talk about it being pretty high. And my bike was flipping through the air, and there was a photographer nearby who's Joe For the Riders. I don't remember. It's Joe Salas, I think his name is. For the Riders, very well-known track photographer. It's followed the AFM for years and years and years. He was in turn 10 or 9, looking up at all of this happening behind the wall, and he had to duck because parts of motorcycles were flying all over the place. My motorcycle broke in half. The front end went flying in one direction, the frame and motor went in another direction. I was careening through the air. Jamie was rolling after the impact that I hit him, and it was the worst moment of my racing career. But I don't want to turn this into an advertisement, but I was asked, what can you do to protect yourself? I had Vanson leathers on, and I think a Suomi helmet. I didn't really hit my head that hard, I don't think, but my body got thrown off a cliff pretty high in the air, and it tumbled, and I don't know how fast we were going, but it was really fast. And I tumbled and tumbled and tumbled, and when I finally came to a stop, all I could think of was, is Jamie all right? I don't even know Jamie. I had never met him. We weren't friends. I didn't even know his name. He was just a human being, and I didn't want to kill somebody. So as soon as I could stand up, I ran. I ran out of the way. This is another thing they teach you, like, stay on the ground after you crash so you don't get run over. But I wasn't even on the track, so this wasn't as much of a concern, because remember, when I went through that sweeping turn and crest the hill, my energy was going that way, because once I cleared Greg McCullough's tire, I was going that way. Jamie was going that way. Centrifugal force was going that way. Well, the track was going this way. So I landed in the dirt and the rocks, and it was all that horror stuff. So I didn't have to worry so much about getting run over by a motorcycle in all the bikes behind us. I just had to worry about getting to Jamie. I didn't really know exactly where I was. I got up and I ran for the wall, to the pit wall, and stood on the pit wall and like, what just happened? I just looked around like this, and I looked up, and there was Jamie up this hill, pretty far away, on the ground, lying there. So I jumped off the wall to go run to him, and I didn't have legs yet. I guess I did have a concussion, so I guess I did hit my head. As soon as I landed from jumping off the wall, I just fell straight to my face, and rocks and dirt and shit was in my... Got up, ran, and I was the first one, the medics and the corner workers, I was the first one to get to him. And I just wanted to make sure he didn't move, because I broke my back. And I know I've been pretty close to paralyzed. And I was worried about him because I hit him in the pelvis, and there's the spine there, and he was in pain, but he was conscious. He was not dead. And I sat with him for a minute, and then the ambulances came, and I walked away. And Jamie not only survived, but he's good to go. He broke his hip, and maybe there was ribs too, but there was nothing life-altering. I don't think he raced again after that, but mostly because his wife said, "I'll kill you myself if you get back on a race bike." And I didn't have a scratch. I had a concussion, but there wasn't one scratch on my body. So, look where you want to go, not where you're afraid of going. If you go wide into a turn, and maybe you're off the track a little bit, don't look at the wall that you're afraid of hitting. If someone crashes in front of you, don't look at what you're afraid of hitting. Look where you want to go, and you will go there. And take care of people. Take care of people.